what is a normal shifter? Hi everyone, my name's Brittany from Brittany Loves Reading. Last month was Stuff Your Kindle Day. And after Stuff Your Kindle Day, I was talking to a few of my BookTube friends and we had all stuffed our Kindles. And we were discussing how many of the books from last Stuff Your Kindle Day we had actually read. Each one of us had read one or two, and we decided that we needed to read some of the Kindle books that we stuffed our Kindle with. So this video is a collab video with Bree from Four Paws in a Books and Neva from Reading with Neva. Both are linked down below, so you're going to want to go check out their videos as well because we have all done the same thing. We sent each other our Stuff Your Kindle lists from the last Stuff Your Kindle Day, the one in September, and let the other person pick two books, any two books they wanted us to read. And we're going to read them in these vlogs. So 4 books that we got on Stuff Your Kindle Day. Neva picked 2 for me, Bree picked 2 for me, and I'm going to read those 4 Stuff Your Kindle books, and at least I'll have read 4 by the time Stuff Your Kindle Day rolls around again. So I'm really excited to be picking up 4 books that I wouldn't necessarily be picking up right now if it wasn't for Neva and Bree picking them. So the first book I'm going to be reading is Must Love Dragons. This is a book that Neva put on this TBR for me, and I'm going to start here first. This is a dragon shifter romance. And when I picked my books for Stuff Your Kindle Day, that is really how I picked them. I looked at keywords, title, cover. I did not read many synopses because there were so many books who had the time to do that. So a lot of these are cover buys, or like I said, the keywords like male romance or what have you that was in the bottom of the description, and titles. That's what I picked a lot of my Stuff Your Kindle Day stuff off. So until I start reading these books, that's all I really know about them is the title, cover, and the main keywords. And the main keywords for this were dragon shifter. So here we are. I think this book is under 200 pages. It's not super long. So I will read the first 50, 60 pages, and then I will come and tell you exactly what is going on, because I did recall that this said that it was a dragon shifter book. However, it is also part of a series that has the word space in it. So like there's some sort of alien component, which I did not know about until I was about to start filming this vlog and noticed the name of the series, which we all know I love an alien romance. So I don't know how the aliens are a part of it. I do not know, but I do suspect that there are aliens somehow because of the name of the series. I feel like dragons and aliens together is probably going to be something I enjoy, but who really knows? Let's dive in. Let's get reading. Let's see what's actually going on in this book. And we'll see if any of these 4 books that I'm going to be reading during this vlog are super big winners from Stuff Your Kindle Day. Hi everyone, I am out doing some errands this morning. I had a doctor's appointment this morning, and while I was at the doctor's office sitting in the waiting room, I was reading Must Love Dragons. That's right, I was reading Dragon Smut out in public. You know, that's the nice thing about a Kindle, is you can't tell what I'm reading. But I have reached the 50% mark, so I actually know what this is about now. So this follows Cal and Maddie. Maddie has come home to her town, and her mother has asked her to come. Her mother, however, has passed, and Maddie is a witch, and she is able to kind of like commune with ghosts, and that is how she still connects with her mother. Her mother has asked her to come home, and Maddie has come home but can't feel her mother now that she is there, so she's not really sure why her mother has summoned her basically back to her hometown. She goes to a bar, and in the bar, she is approached by a very large, very handsome man called Cal. Cal is a shifter, and he shifts into a dragon, but he is from an alien planet, so he does not really know human customs, earth customs, and he approaches Maddie in a way that kind of makes Maddie very suspect of what is going on. Maddie, like I said, does live in the world of magic. She is a witch, and she does know what a shifter is, but she doesn't believe that dragons are real, and she's used to like normal shifters. What is a normal shifter? Anyway, she is used to normal shifters like werewolves and does not believe that dragons are real and also does not believe in aliens. So she is like, this man is crazy. He is strange. I'm a little confused as to why that's the case, because if you can be a witch and also believe in other shifters, like why can't you suspend the belief for yourself? Anyway, that's fine. So at first, Maddie's like, I don't want anything to do with this guy. Like, really, I don't. But things happen. Maddie's magic mixes with Cal's, and it causes kind of an adverse effect for Maddie that kind of requires her to hook up with Cal to relieve some of the tension. So we are just kind of starting to see their relationship at this point. At the 50% point, like I said, there was a little bit of hesitancy from Maddie. She was still trying to kind of wrap her head around aliens being real and dragons being real and what was going on at the beginning of this book. What is going to happen now? I'm not sure. I think we're going to maybe dip into some overarching plot. Cal is not the only alien who has come to this planet looking for a mate. So I don't really know what's going to happen in the second half of this book. The one thing that I will say is the writing style for me took a minute to get used to. It's very choppy in its style, and it took me a second to sink into, especially on the Maddie chapters. The Cal chapters seem to be less. I think it's just how the author wanted the Maddie character to come across, and it's written that way. And like I said, I think now we're going to start getting into some like more of the overarching plot. This is the start to a series, so maybe start setting up for book 2. We'll see. We'll see what the next 50% has in store. So I have finished Much Love Dragons, and I'm going to give it 3 stars. Realistically, if I was just to base this off clinical writing and strictly reviewing the actual book in its technicality, this would be a 2-star book. However, there were parts of this story that I really did enjoy, so my enjoyment factor bumped it up a star to a 3-star read. I do feel like the second half, especially the very end, was really rushed in this book. There was a lot going on at the end very, very quickly, and then all of a sudden we were in the epilogue. And I do know there's a second book in the series, but that follows a different couple, so I don't think it's like going to be really covered much in the next book. I'm pretty sure I mentioned this in my mid-book check-in, but the writing around the female character was very, very choppy. The writing was choppy in all of it, but the female character, I did not really enjoy being inside her head as much as I enjoyed the male character's perspective. Cal, I actually really enjoyed Cal's perspective most of the time. It really did feel like a alien romance that I've read before. The feel of it was very what I'm used to. So I think that's why I liked Cal's perspectives a little bit more, just because it was more of what I'm used to. But in general, like I said, I bumped this up a star because I had a good time with it. The enjoyment factor brought it up an entire star. I don't think I'll be continuing with the series, but I don't regret picking this up during Stuff Your Kindle Day. It was a fun time. It was fun for what it was. I mean, do we really come to KU alien shifter romances for the best writing? No, we come for a good time. Sometimes they are excellently written, but like most of the time, we're just coming for a good time, and this was a good time. The next book that I'm going to be reading is The Dragon's Arys by Eve Newton. This is also a book picked by Neva, and this one is much larger. I think this is much more like a fantasy romance than it is like a quick romance book, because I looked it up and the audiobook is like 15 hours long. So I'm assuming there's more going on in this than just your typical like little romance like what I just read in Must Love Dragons. I'm expecting some more world building, this to be a denser novel, maybe even some political stuff going on where she's an heiress. I don't really know, but that's kind of what I'm anticipating just with the length and how much there is in this book. I'm expecting it to read more fantasy romance. So I'm hoping to get this done over the weekend. I'm doing a 48-hour readathon this weekend, and I'm doing books Bookopoly made me read, and this is on my Bookopoly TBR. So this is one of the books I'm hoping to read this weekend. So throughout the weekend, I'll be checking in with you with this book. So I have made it to 50% in Dragon Arys by Eve Newton, and I've had a range of emotions reading this book. So at the beginning of this book, we have Delinda. Delinda is the heir to this dragon empire. Her family dynamics are very strange. She is a dragon shifter. Everyone in this land is. And she is looking for her chosen one. She has a relationship with one of her guardians that is basically not supposed to be happening. If anyone found out about this, it would be very much frowned upon. But that is happening with Toka. But her uncle, who is the current leader of this realm and who she is the heir to, brings a bunch of males to the castle to see who is her chosen one. And when they all arrive, there are actually two that she has the chosen bond with, which is unheard of. No one's ever had this happen before, but it is now happening to Delinda. She and her mother basically have to fight for this to be allowed and for her to have both of her chosen ones as her basically consort. And she's also trying to get her guard in as part of this. Her uncle is having none of that, absolutely none, only the chosen ones. So we're starting to see the beginnings of this reverse harem, dragon shifter, why choose situation. At the beginning of this book, I was not sure. I was not sure about it. I really wasn't, because there was the world's largest info dump that I have ever seen. It was so much information just dropped on you immediately about the world and all this stuff that's going on behind the scenes, what happened in the past with her family. I was lost because it was just so much information all at once. It was really, really too much. Also, Delinda, not the best character you've ever met in your days. Especially at the beginning. I feel like maybe she's grown on me a little bit, or she's grown in the books at this point. She's not bugging me as much. But for the first 20% of this book, I really wasn't sure about it. Toka, Rexus, and Prez are why you would come to this book. They are so fun and each have a really different relationship with Delinda and have a different space in the relationship. So there's kind of something for everybody depending on which one you'd be interested in. It kind of reminds me of the Whitsec brothers to some extent, where we all have our favorite brother. I could see that happening with this dragon shifter reverse harem as well. It's definitely a why choose, and I didn't want her to choose either because I liked them all. They have hinted to a few things that if it does happen in the book, though, that might lose me. So as of right now, the first 20%, not my favorite. I'm here for the 3 gentlemen suitors, and we'll see if the book, how it ends, if it works for me or not, because it really depends on if those things that were hinted at actually happen or if we continue in the vein that we're currently in. Okay, so this took a turn that I did not foresee it taking. Very shortly after I finished talking to you, we had a trope pop up that is not my favorite in romance, and instantly that dampened my enjoyment of this book. I don't like it in a rom-com, and I certainly don't like it in a dark romance. It just did not fit, for me, the vibes of this book. But then at the very end of this book, we discover something about a couple of our main characters, and we discover that they are related. And I normally wouldn't talk about something that happens this late in a book, but personally, I think it should have been in the trigger warnings. I talked to a few of my BookTube friends, and they all agreed with me that that's something that they would have expected to see in the trigger warnings if it was in a book, especially if the book bothers to list trigger warnings, and this one does. I went back to double check just to make sure I didn't miss that it was in there, and I didn't. And I'm not going to go into who is related because, again, I don't want to say anything that's too late in the book. But there is a familial relationship between a couple of our main characters. And for me, that's something that I would have liked to know going in ahead of time. And it would have stopped me from picking up this book, to be honest. I have read similar instances in like epic fantasy books where the smut is not certainly the focus. But in a dark romance where the smut is the focus, I personally just wasn't interested in reading something like that. And that's nothing against those that are, because it's a completely something, if you want to read that, that's totally up to you. I certainly am not here to judge what people want to read or don't want to read. Just for me personally, that's not something that I would have wanted to pick up. And I do think it should have been in the trigger warnings because obviously it is something that not everybody would want to pick up. And I think it should be up to the reader to use their discretion. And if you don't know it's in a book, you can't use your discretion, which is why I am mentioning it in this review. And because of finding out about these familiar relationships, it really did taint how I felt about the characters through the part of the book I did like. And there was also that trope that I really dislike seeing in romance. And realistically, there was a lot of stuff going on in the second half of this book that was just really discombobulated. And with all that being said, I ended up giving this 1 star, and we're just going to move on to the next book for this vlog. The next book for this vlog is a book that Bree picked for me, and it is a novella, so I'm just going to read the whole thing and then come talk to you at the end because it's only like 60 pages long. It's pretty short. And it's Her Pastry Shifters by Mia Harland. This book is a baking shifter romance. I love a baking romance. I think this is one that I'm definitely going to be judging off vibes mostly because it is a shifter romance that's only 60 pages. Like, I don't know how else to review that kind of book. But I do love a baking romance, and I think this is going to be kind of cute and kind of fun. I really hope it is. I think it's going to be lighthearted and cute and fun. I'm just going to read the synopsis off Goodreads because there isn't that much, and I've got it set up just behind the camera. So it says, how to get 3 scrumptious mates, ingredients, 1 lonely baker, 3 sexy shifters, and an epic bake-off. When I saw this on the Stuff Your Kindle Day list, I was like, I need to know what this is. I love a baking romance. Shifters. I'm pretty sure the shifters are pastry shifters, like they turn into pastries. And then the pastries turn into hot men, or hot men turn into pastries. Either way, I'm here for it. So yesterday I actually read and finished the entirety of Pastry Shifters. It was very short. It was only like 60 some pages, and it was a very fast read, and it was so cute. This book has plus size rep. It's a reverse harem, but realistically, there's only 1 smutty scene in the middle of this book. It is more of a rom-com than a super smutty book. So go into that with that in mind. But it was so fun. It had me laughing out loud, and I had a great time with this book. It follows Jessie, and Jessie is going into a baking competition. And when she arrives at her hotel, they have been trying to get a hold of her. Her room has had a pipe explode, and they no longer have a room for her at the hotel. 3 best friends who are also in the baking competition and own a bakery together, Rune, Mac, and Bax, all say, wait, we think she might be our fated mate because they are shifters, and you can come stay with us. So Jessie agrees to share a room with them. She does not know they are shifters at the time. She finds that out pretty quickly. Like I said, it's only 66 pages. So Jessie goes back up to their room. Like I said, she finds out they're shifters pretty quickly, and they shift into pastries. It is very funny. It's really cute. And for what it's trying to do, I think it did it perfectly. I really do. I think it was exactly what the author set out to do. And it was funny. It was cute rom-com, and it was perfect for what the author intended to do. And for that, and for my enjoyment level and on vibes and all the things, this got 5 stars. I had a great time. It was super fun. And we're going to move on to the last book for this vlog, which is another Bree pick. So far, Bree's picked them pretty good. So hopefully we continue with this trend. With Draculas Secret, this is a vampire romance of some kind. Do I know anything more about it? Absolutely not. So let's dive in. This is a bit longer. This is closer to 300 pages. So once I've read a little bit, I will come back and do like a mid-book checkup like I've been doing, and we'll see how this one goes. We've been kind of all over the place in this vlog, but you know, we're going into this one on a high note.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
So we've had a little change in plans. I DNF'd Draculas Secret fairly quickly. I read about 10%. The writing style was something that I didn't particularly gel with. And then we found out that our main female character was a vampire who was a Nazi in World War II, and that was just a step too far for me. So I DNF'd that book. Luckily for this collab, we did kind of make arrangements for if that happened, and picked a bonus book for each other if we needed to DNF a book. So I went and I checked out what Bree had picked as a bonus book, and the bonus book Bree picked for me is Between a Fox and a Hard Place by Mary Frame. I have already read the first 43% of this because I figured I could just tell you I DNF'd and started this all in one little chat. And this is a really cute rom-com, which is really different from the books that I've read so far in this. This is very much like your traditional rom-com, and I'm here for it. It's exactly what I think we needed to end off this vlog. This follows Finley and Archer. Finley is running her family's kind of cabin getaway business, And it's not going well. She's very overwhelmed. She runs it with her brother, but her brother is struggling after losing his twin sister in a accident. I don't know the details of that quite yet, but I know that she has passed, and he has been struggling ever since with alcoholism. And due to that, basically the running of this business has completely fallen on Finley. Finley and Jake, who is her brother, have a plethora of other sisters who do pop in and out throughout this book, but they do not live or help work on the business. So we only see them in bits and pieces. Someone named Oliver has been trying to buy them out of their piece of land and their family business, which includes a bunch of cabins, to build a children's camp. He's quite a rich man, and he's been kind of systematically buying parcels of land all around their land and wants to buy theirs as well. He sent people to try and get a hold of the land over time, and they have not been able to convince Finley and Jake to sell. So Oliver sends Archer to do just that. Archer does not really work for Oliver. He owns his own business to work in solvency, and he's a solvency expert. So basically, he just wants to make everybody happy, and he wants to come up with a plan that works for Finley and Jake and also works for Oliver. And he's really trying to come up with a compromise that makes everyone happy. He also really wants to make Finley happy because he is very, very attracted to Finley, and that goes both ways. Finley is very attracted to Archer as well. So he kind of makes a deal with her because she doesn't want to talk to anyone associated with Oliver, that she will let him stay on the property if he helps fix it up. Because like I said, Jake is going through a lot and is not really helpful at the moment. And there's a lot of physical things, a lot of things that need to be fixed up around the cabins and the house and the land, and Finley could use some help. So Archer makes this deal, and part of the deal is that Finley has to answer questions every single night about the business, about her life, what have you, so that he can kind of figure out what's important to Finley so that he can come up with this compromise with Oliver and Finley. If you're wondering what the pun is, Finley's last name is Fox, so that's why it's between a fox and a hard place. And I just love a good punny title. Who doesn't love a punny title? I'm going to continue and see how this wraps up. I mean, it's a romance, so I'm expecting a happily ever after. But I'm interested to see kind of what works with Oliver and Finley and how that kind of works out. Because at this point, I don't necessarily see what the compromise is. But I have faith in Archer. I have faith that he will figure it out. So I have finished Between a Fox and a Hard Place. This was such a cute romance, but it also covered some really heavy topics. And because of that, we have another romance that does not have a third act breakup, which is something I really appreciated. It uses other things in the book to create that conflict. And a couple of vlogs ago, I spoke about this, that I wish more romance would realize that the conflict does not have to be with our two main characters. It can be with people in their periphery that they also have to help handle or fix or care about, etc. In this book, I think I mentioned when I did my mid-book update that our main female character, her brother, is dealing with alcoholism. So there's that conflict going on and things happening around that. As well as one of the other sisters, she is in a relationship that is making the sisters uncomfortable, making our main female character uncomfortable. He seems very controlling. He seems to be kind of keeping the sister, which is Piper, away from Finley and the rest of the family. And there's some discussion around that going on. And do they need to intervene and help Piper? What's going on? Will Piper let them help her? Etc., etc. So there were so many things I loved about this. Archer, our main male character, is definitely a new book boyfriend for me. I'm definitely going to continue with this series. I know the next book follows one of the sisters, and I'm very excited to continue with this series. It's a really cute rom-com series, and I'm really glad I picked up the first book for Stuff Your Kindle Day. So that is the end of this Stuff Your Kindle vlog. Again, make sure to go over and check out Bree's video and Neva's video. They are linked down below. I can't wait to see if they got any wins or loses. This vlog has had a little bit of both. We've had star ratings all over the place. We've had a 1, a 3, a 4, and a 5. So we've been everywhere almost during this vlog. And I've really enjoyed my time. I'm excited to see what else my Stuff Your Kindle Day books will look like as I kind of continue to read through them. But thank you so much for watching. Have you read any books from Stuff Your Kindle Day that you have enjoyed? Please let me know because I might want to look into them, see if they're on KU, see if I also pick them up. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.